because you have a world champion versus a world champion. Like, if anybody deserves a fight for the world title in the next weight class, it's you. It's simple. It's simple. You knocked out Max Holloway. I mean, it's simple. You knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, one of the greatest of all time. It's simple. That's a no-brainer. That's the fight. You know, he doesn't want to fight 45 anymore. He wants to fight 55. World title shot. Ilia goes up to 55. I don't care if he only defended the title one time or didn't.
Agree.
Who cares?
You want Ilia to fight Makhachev?
Let's go.
Oh.
Let's fucking go.
Joe Rogan has just pushed back on Khabib's claim that Ilia Topuria doesn't deserve a title shot against Islam Makhachev. However, Ilia Topuria made it clear he only wants to fight for the UFC lightweight title and not a #1 contender fight. He said he wants to face Islam Makhachev and believes it's the biggest and most marketable fight since everyone else has already lost to Islam. Topuria doesn't care if Islam doesn't want to fight him. He insists that Islam will have to face him eventually. He challenged Islam to prove that he's truly the champion by fighting him, saying he's earned the shot after knocking out 2 legends in the featherweight division, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway.
Do you have a timeline of when you would like to fight at 155?
I would like to fight with Islam, that's for sure. I would like to fight him.
But if they don't give you that fight, if they give you like a #1 contender fight, when would you like to fight next?
I wouldn't fight for a #1 contender
Really?
fight. No.
You only want to fight for the title?
Yeah, of course.
Also, it's the most marketable fight. Everybody else is lost to him, right?
I don't care if Islam decides that he doesn't want to fight me. I don't care. I said till you're gonna have to fight me. Okay. You say that you are the world champion, you're gonna keep dominating the division, all that. I'm here. You can't keep avoiding me all the time. Prove that I deserve that shot. As you said, I knock out
2 of the all-time greats.
two of the all-time greats. To the greats, Walk, who was like dominating everyone in 145 division, and Max Holloway. Great fighters, both of them.
Moreover, Ilia Topuria said that moving up to 155 pounds will make him even more dangerous in the octagon. He explained that at this weight he feels stronger, more stable, and fully fueled, unlike before when his body wasn't performing at 100%. Topuria warned that at lightweight he only needs to touch his opponent's head to knock them out, saying their lights will go out even without hitting the chin. He also added that he feels ready to wrestle if needed and has the gas tank not just for 5 rounds, but for 5 full days.
So with this extra 10 pounds, how much better do you think you'll be able to perform inside the octagon? Because I would imagine physically, as good as your performances were, and they were spectacular, your body could not have been operating at 100%.
You are gonna see me at 155 that I'm gonna touch someone and I'm gonna take his lights out. I don't need to touch his chin. I just touch his head and it will explode. I feel so powerful at that weight class, so stable in the ground. Like, do you wanna wrestle? Let's wrestle. No problem. And I have the gas tank for 5 days, not 5 rounds.
However, Michael Chandler shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, pointing out the clear size difference, with Islam being a much bigger and taller lightweight. He acknowledged that Islam is well-rounded, but gave Ilia the edge in striking, noting his patience and power. Chandler said if Ilia can avoid the takedown and land his big shots, it could be a great night for him. However, he emphasized that grappling with Islam is completely different from facing featherweights, as Islam is one of the best grapplers in the game. Due to size, strength, and experience defending the belt, Chandler gives the edge to Islam, but says he wouldn't count Ilia out.
If Islam fights Ilia, I mean, I think there's definitely a size difference. I think Ilia is a lot smaller than Islam. Islam is a big lightweight, a tall lightweight, and he's good in every area. However, Ilia's definitely got the edge in the striking department. And Ilia is very, very, very patient. Now, if he's able to not get taken down and he's able to just patiently break down Islam with those big shots that he lands, the big punches that he lands, it's going to be a good night for Ilia. But I think if Islam gets his hands on him and gets him taken down, I mean, grappling with 145 pounders is a lot different than grappling with Islam, who is one of the best grapplers that we've seen in a very long time. He's strong. He's great at doing damage and getting good positions. I'd have to give the edge to Islam just by size, by strength of schedule thus far, and defending the belt, but I wouldn't count Ilia out.
Aaron Pico said the matchup is good for the sport and something fans are excited to see. He pointed out that every fighter has their own style and Ilia has found success with his. Still, Pico feels that Islam might simply be too much, hinting at a gap in overall skill and experience that could be hard to overcome.
I think it's good for the sport, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Islam, I mean, people really want to see that. Everybody has their own style, and it seems like his style is just doing what he did. Honestly, I believe Islam is just a little too much for him, but I'm also a fan, you know, so I would love to see that.
Beneil Dariush said that Ilia is probably the most deserving newcomer to the division, but he doesn't think Makhachev and his team are eager to give another title shot to a former featherweight. He explained that after already facing 2 fighters from 145, they likely feel that's enough and are now looking for fresh contenders from within the lightweight ranks. Dariush noted it's a tricky situation as Ilia is a new challenge, but his background as a featherweight puts Makhachev's team in an awkward spot where they're hesitant to take that fight.
If Ilia is coming into the division, I honestly think he's the most deserving, but I don't think Makhachev and his team right now want to give a shot to another 45er. I think they feel like they did it twice. That's enough, you know. Now they want contenders, and at the same time, but Makhachev also wants to fight new guys. So it's kind of one of those things where you're stuck because you have a new opponent, but he's a former 45er, and you're like, I don't want to fight another 45er. So it's a weird.
However, Khabib Nurmagomedov shared his opinion on the possible bout, expressing that Ilia Topuria hasn't done enough to merit a crack at the belt. He mentioned that Islam Makhachev is nearing his mid-30s and likely has limited time left in the sport, so it's important he takes on high-profile challengers with strong resumes. In Khabib's view, Topuria hasn't battled any major stars yet and still has more to prove before stepping into the cage with the reigning champ.
И он дрался, и он даже дрался с чемпионом 66, летел к нему. Он сам на то, да, в Австралию полетел, у него там на заднем дворе подрался. Команда, мы считаем, что Topuria, он достойный боец. Но он чемпион, защитил пояс, выиграл очень серьезных ребят. Но эти все ребята, которые были в 66, даже тот же самый Холлоуэй, который он выиграл, он перешел на 70, он ничего не сделал. Из-за этого нам нужно, чтобы Исламу тоже немного осталось. Если так посмотреть, Исламу скоро 34 будет. Но Ислам тоже хочет драться не с Topuria и с Волкановским, или который вышел на замену с Майканом. Ислам хочет драться с большими именами, которые заслуживают, которые давно уже в 70 килограмм. Ты переходишь вес, заслужи, и у нас примерно вот такая позиция.
Joe Rogan pushed back on Khabib's claims, saying it's obvious Ilia Topuria deserves a shot at the lightweight title. He argued that when a reigning champion moves up, especially after knocking out legends like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, the path to the next belt is clear. Rogan called it a no-brainer, pointing out that Ilia has done everything needed to earn the opportunity and no longer wants to stay at 145 as he's ready for 155, plain and simple.
Because you have a world champion versus a world champion. Like, if anybody deserves a fight for the world title in the next weight class, it's you. It's simple. It's simple. You knocked out Max Holloway. I mean, it's simple. You knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, one of the greatest of all time. It's simple. That's a no-brainer. That's the fight. You know, he doesn't want to fight 45 anymore. He wants to fight 55. World title shot.
On the other hand, Daniel Cormier agreed with Khabib Nurmagomedov's view on the potential fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, stating that it likely isn't worth the risk. He pointed out that Makhachev's previous super fight against Alexander Volkanovski showed that sometimes the reward doesn't align with the risk. Even though Volkanovski was ranked as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter at the time, Makhachev didn't receive the kind of recognition or respect expected from such a significant victory.
I believe the response to those fights is why they feel it's not worth it. Because in those fights, you had a guy in Volk who's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, unquestioned. He beat him, and he did not get the respect or the love that might have been anticipated, right?
Cormier further explained that super fights are meant to boost the winner's status, but this only seems to happen when the smaller fighter wins. Since Islam is the naturally larger athlete, defeating a smaller opponent like Topuria might not generate the same level of praise or momentum. He echoed Khabib's sentiment, agreeing that the risk outweighs the reward, especially given Makhachev's limited time left in his career.
Super fights mean that the person that comes on the other side of the super fight feels a lift after winning said super fight. I did it. I felt it after beating Stipe Miocic. Islam Makhachev, he had the fight, won the super fight, didn't feel the love because it was like, well, you beat a smaller guy. Maybe that's the case though whenever you're the bigger guy and you actually win. Maybe the love comes when you're the smaller guy and you win the fight. But Khabib's talking about the risk versus the reward, essentially. And the reward or the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, at least in the first case.
Moreover, Mike Perry praised the potential matchup between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, calling it a really exciting fight. He highlighted how Ilia has been impressive and noted the passionate fan bases behind both fighters, with the people of Spain supporting Ilia and the people of Russia backing Islam. Perry believes it would be a fantastic clash, with a lot of energy surrounding the two major support systems.
Ilia versus Islam is a really cool fight. Ilia's been great. The people of Spain and versus the people of Russia. We know there's two really big support systems there. That's a great fight.
Mateusz Gamrot weighed in on a possible fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, describing it as an intriguing matchup but expressing skepticism about Topuria's chances. He noted that Topuria is the smaller fighter, while Islam is much larger. Gamrot explained that to compete with someone like Makhachev, you need to be built similarly strong and big, as Islam excels in all areas. He stressed that if your physique is smaller than his, it would be difficult to have much success in the fight.
For me, interesting fight, but but I don't know. Topuria is small guy. Islam is really big guy, and I don't think that Topuria has changed against him. You know, like if you wanna fight with Islam, you have to be like big guy, like similar like him, because he's good everywhere. But if your body is smaller than him, so you don't have change for sure.
Arnold Allen discussed why he understands why Islam Makhachev might hesitate to take on Ilia Topuria, explaining that Islam likely wants to face legitimate contenders to solidify his title reign, especially after fighting featherweights, former featherweights, and replacements. Allen admitted that while Islam may not be interested in another fight with a smaller opponent, there's probably no bigger matchup than Ilia. He speculated that if Islam defeats Ilia impressively, it would be a significant win. However, Allen also acknowledged that every time he's counted Topuria out, Ilia has proved him wrong, so he wasn't ready to dismiss him this time. Still, he predicted that Islam would likely win the fight, possibly by dominating him.
I understand why Islam wouldn't want it, right? He wants to fight legit contenders, and he's had like featherweights, ex-featherweights, late notice guys, replacements. He wants to sort of solidify his title reign, but probably is no bigger fight than Ilia, right? If he goes and batters Ilia, it looks pretty good.
Do you think he beats Ilia?
These guys, I don't know. To be honest, I've ruled him out a few. Oh, we're gonna get run. Hello.
About to get ran over.
Good.
Sorry. My bad.
I don't know. Every time I've ruled him out, he proves me wrong, so I'm not going to do it again. Yeah, like I say, I think Islam wins and he gets ironed out. So
Jorge Masvidal expressed strong confidence in Ilia Topuria's grappling, saying he would bet the house on him. Masvidal praised Ilia's offensive grappling, particularly his ability to defend against takedowns. He explained that if an opponent tries to take Ilia down and makes a mistake, Ilia has a good chance of reversing the situation and gaining control, potentially putting the opponent in a tough spot.
I'd bet the house on Ilia. His grappling offensively, it's very good. If like you shoot it on this guy's legs and you make a mistake and you're the one going for the takedown, he has a very good chance that he might put your ass to sleep.
Arman Tsarukyan also offered his perspective on the potential fight, calling it a close and competitive matchup. He recognized Ilia Topuria's impressive boxing skills, but noted that he hasn't yet faced a wrestler of Islam Makhachev's caliber. Tsarukyan believed the fight could go either way, adding that if he doesn't get the title shot, Topuria would likely be the next contender in line.
If Islam and Ilia fought for the title, how do you see that one playing out?
It's a tough fight. Ilia, better striking, good boxing. He never fought with guys who can wrestle very well like Islam. So we'll say it's a 50-50 fight.
Do you think they're going to give Ilia the opportunity to fight Islam for the title if it's not you?
I think so. I'm open for everybody from top 5.
Dustin Poirier shared his thoughts, saying that if Ilia Topuria can stop Islam Makhachev's takedowns, his boxing could be superior to Islam's and he might be the bigger puncher. Poirier acknowledged that Islam's striking has improved, noting he's become more crafty and elusive. Reflecting on his own fight with Islam, Poirier mentioned that Islam fought at an unusual range. However, he ultimately felt the size difference between the two would be too much for Topuria to overcome.
I mean, if he can stop the takedowns, I think his boxing is better than Islam's. I think he's a bigger puncher. Yeah. Islam's technique is getting a lot better on the feet. He's kind of crafty and elusive. When I fought him, he fought at a weird range, but I think the size difference is just too much, I believe.
Moreover, Demetrius Johnson shared his perspective on the potential matchup, calling it an intriguing fight. He highlighted Islam Makhachev's ability to use his length and throw body kicks, but questioned whether Ilia Topuria could catch one and transition into a takedown to initiate grappling. Johnson expressed doubt, suggesting that Topuria is a better boxer, and pointed out that we've already seen how Islam handles a skilled boxer like Dustin Poirier.
Ilia Topuria moving up to lightweight. If he does fight Islam Makhachev, how do you think that fight goes?
I think it'll be an interesting matchup because I look at Islam's very good about using his length and throwing the body kicks. So are we going to see Ilia Topuria catch a kick for a takedown and start grappling with him? I doubt it. Ilia Topuria is a better boxer. We saw what Islam could do against a good boxer when it comes to Dustin Poirier.
I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him.
Alexander Volkanovski shared his thoughts on the potential fight, acknowledging that while Islam Makhachev would be a tough matchup for Ilia Topuria, he believes Ilia has the ability to catch him. Volkanovski praised Topuria's striking, particularly his boxing, and highlighted how focused Ilia is on finding the chin, remaining patient and composed until that opportunity arises. He noted that even if things aren't going his way, Topuria will continue searching for the opening. However, Volkanovski also pointed out that Islam would likely play it safe, knowing he has to be defensive against Topuria's powerful punches.
Yeah, so it's look, it just comes to can Ilia catch him? That's what is, and he definitely can. Ilia's very, especially with his approach, he really backs his strike and his boxing. He really knows that he will eventually find the chin, and he's stoic till that happens. You know what I mean? He is on task, and he doesn't. You know what I mean? He'll go even if things aren't working. He's still going to try and find it. So I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him because Islam can be quite defensive and safe. I think he's going to know he needs to play it safe with Ilia because he knows Ilia is going to have that puncher's chance.
Luke Thomas believes that if Islam Makhachev is forced to stand and trade with Ilia Topuria, there's a strong possibility Ilia could knock him out. He suggested that if you combined Islam's wrestling defense with Ilia's striking, Ilia would likely have the upper hand and beat Islam.
If a guy like Islam is forced to stand with Topuria for whatever reason, there's a good chance Topuria knocks him out. I think that this is what I mean. Like, imagine you could take Saryukian's wrestling on the defensive side and put it in the body of Topuria. That guy beats Islam.
Max Holloway believes Islam Makhachev's well-rounded skills make him a difficult opponent to bet against. He highlighted Islam's experience and ability to control the pace of the fight, which would likely prevent Ilia Topuria from securing a win. Holloway emphasized that Islam's versatility in all areas of combat gives him the clear advantage in a potential matchup.
Ilia versus Makhachev, what would you think? Who would win?
I mean, bro, it's hard to go against Islam. His fighting style is a tough one. He likes wrestling. He likes striking. Now he's falling in love with his striking. It's hard to bet against Islam. At the end of the day, if he gets it, that's cool, but probably not. He has Volk and Diego driving down the door right now, so I think they might keep him down here.
Bo Nickal views Islam Makhachev as the pound-for-pound #1, but believes Ilia Topuria could perform well against him. He pointed to Volkanovski's wrestling in their first fight with Islam as an example, suggesting that Topuria might have the tools to compete effectively with Islam's skills.
I think he's the pound-for-pound #1 right now. And I think he can win. And what makes me think that Ilia will do really well against Islam is that Volk's first fight with Islam. I'm like, man, Ilia's wrestling is way better than Volk's. And obviously, you could see how the striking went.
Sean O'Malley shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, acknowledging Islam's size advantage while praising Ilia's impressive skill set. O'Malley sees it as a future super fight, believing that if both fighters continue to perform at a high level, their matchup could be one of the most anticipated in the sport.
You're gonna tell me you wouldn't be interested in Ilia versus Islam? God, I mean, Islam is quite a bit bigger, but I feel like Ilia's skill level is just so high. Obviously, so is Islam. So that could be a potential super fight here in a few years if those guys keep doing their thing.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? We would love to hear your thoughts on this matchup. Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check our other videos on the screen right now.